So we're going to talk about inheritance and abstract interfaces. We're going to tie it all together in this last exercise in chapter 10. Here we are, 10-9. And we're going to take the concepts that we've dealt with all through chapter 10, and we're going to bring them all together in a common exercise so that we create an abstract class. We're going to create a class that inherits or implements everything associated with that abstract class, that foundational class I like to call it. And then from there, we'll actually do it again, do another one. So we're doing more than one object, and each one of those objects will implement or inherit an interface. Okay? So let's start out with that interface. They want us to create an interface, and they say that that interface is going to instantiate two objects, a Girl Scout object and a real estate salesperson object. And we're going to call our interface is sellable. There we go. We've got a public interface, sellable. It has two methods in it, sales speech and make sale. Make sale has a value that's being passed to it. It's an integer called amount. So if I have a class that inherits or implements this sellable, it's going to have to use these two methods. I'll have that inherited in that we can actually, I shouldn't say has to, but we can use both of them. So from there, let's start out. Let's create each one of our classes. The first class that we're going to create is going to be our abstract class. And our abstract class, let's call it salesperson. So I've got an abstract class salesperson. Each salesperson will have a first name and a last name. We'll have our constructor called salesperson that receives the first and last, the name of the salesperson. Comes in, we assign it to that variable. Then we have get name. You want to find out the name of that salesperson. We've got a get name method, and that will then return the full name. We have those two attributes, first name and last name, and their automatics taking place here. So there's our abstract class that we created. It's not created to be instantiated. That's when we see it abstract. Let's come down to the next line. Let's create another class, and this class we're going to call it real estate salesperson, and a real estate salesperson will inherit both sellable and salesperson. Okay, so let's come down and let's create our real estate salesperson class that inherits salesperson and sellable. So it's inheriting everything from both of those building blocks, if you will. This abstract class and the interface. So everything about both of them, it's inherited. And then we come down, we've got our constructor, real estate salesperson. It receives a string, first and last, as well as a rate. The base was first and last coming off of salesperson. Rate comes in and it's assigned to commission rate. We have a sales speech method in here. And that sales speech method, we go back up, remember that. That's coming from iSellable. We've also got make sale. So here's sales speech and here's make sale. Received an integer just as it did in our interface. So this is one example of us being able to inherit everything about salesperson and inherit everything about iSellable all at the same time and then build upon it. That's a real estate salesperson. Okay, let's come down, and when we come down, we will create a Girl Scout class. And our Girl Scout class will be much like that real estate salesperson class. We'll have an instance of salesperson, an instance of iSellable, or I should say, we're inheriting salesperson and iSellable in our class Girl Scout. Here's our constructor. We've got a variable total boxes that is unique to Girl Scout. They've got a sales speech and they've got make sale. Total boxes, we've got our automatic there. Okay? So with that said, let's come up, and how are we going to use those classes? We've got to at some point instantiate them. So I'll go ahead and drop the code in for our main that does all the work we need it to do. What's the work we need it to do? Here we go. The first one, we're going to create an instance of the real estate salesperson class called Diane. Now we've got an object named Diane. We passed it 3 values. First, last, and what was the third one? Well, if we scroll down, it's rate. So their person's first name, last name, and their rate. That object exists now, Diane. We've got another one that is an instance of Girl Scout called Mandy. First name, last name. We invoked Diane's sales speech and Mandy's sales speech. Diane made 2 sales. Mandy made 3 sales. Okay. So every time that Mandy made a sale, let's come to Girl Scout. Every time Mandy made a sale, it went through, it received boxes, added boxes to total boxes, so we had this accumulator, total boxes. So every time she made a sale, it increased total boxes. Okay. Every time that Diane made a sale, we've got an accumulator and calculated the commission or total commission earned based on commission rate. Okay, so if we ran this, this has got a little issue. Got a couple of warnings. But it says, this property will double in value in the next 10 years. Buy it now or regret it forever. Would you like to buy some cookies? So that's their speeches and then what they ended up with. Let's see if this thing's happy with what we did. Because we instantiated both of those objects. So there we go. went ahead, it said 100%. So they had for salesperson demo, line 33 and line 34, they had some issue. So in the salesperson class, we never actually did something with those values. Now, here's the thing. They're just warnings. They're saying, you created this class, but you never actually put anything in there. Well, in fact, we did put something in there. And we put it in there when those attributes were inherited by real estate salesperson or inherited by the other object that we created that was an instance of Girl Scout. Okay. So sometimes we may get warnings, but they're not deal breakers. So I'll see you in chapter 11. And in chapter 11, we're going to start dealing with exceptions. And we've talked about them before, but now we're actually going to start handling these exceptions.